The price of Bitcoin is only going to rise with time. I'm going to make the case, but it's based on Fed money printing. And of course, that institution and investors are getting increasingly more interested in the asset. I'm also going to take a look at a bunch of altcoins and all of the news that's driving markets today. You do not want to miss this one, so stay tuned. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I am Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and tickle that like button with your middle finger. Just tick it with your middle finger. We find a new and creative way to touch the like button each time to avoid having to smash it and break your keyboard. As you guys probably know by now, if you subscribe to the channel and you go ahead and check the link down below, you can enter a giveaway. We're getting very close to 100,000 subscribers. I can't believe that this channel was at like 7,000 subscribers just a few months ago when I decided to switch it from a music channel over to a crypto channel and start engaging on YouTube. All you have to do is click that link. You can enter as many times as you want, and I'm giving away $5,000 when we get there, guys. So as I said, Bitcoin will only go up over time. Seems like an obvious statement because Bitcoin has only gone up over time, but there are a lot of reasons for us to believe. And first, right before this stream, I was actually reading through Twitter and I decided to add this. I saw some amazing and incredible tweets about the Fed balance sheet. So first of all, I'm just going to jump in right now. I'm going to read to you, just for those of you who don't understand it. We take for granted that people understand somewhat complicated concepts. I'm going to go ahead and just from Investopedia tell you about the Federal Reserve balance sheet. Okay. The Federal Reserve System is the central bank of the United States and is responsible for the nation's monetary policy. The Fed's primary goals are to promote maximum employment, stable prices, and manage long-term interest rates. The Fed also helps to create stability in the financial system, especially during times of recession or negative economic growth and financial instability. Basically, their job is to make sure it's not a free market. The Fed uses various programs and initiatives to accomplish its goals, and the result usually leads to a change in the composition of the Fed's balance sheet. The Fed can increase or decrease the amount and scope of assets or liabilities on its sheet, which in turn increases or decreases the money supply within the economy. However, some critics, I wonder who, argue the Fed has gone too far and tried to do too much in response to recessions and crisis. Yeah, they don't let them happen. That's the answer. But here's the very key takeaways. Like any business organization, the Federal Reserve maintains a balance sheet listing its assets and liabilities. The Fed's assets include various treasuries and mortgage-backed securities purchased in the open market and loans made to banks, money printing to buy things. Liabilities for the Fed include currency in circulation and bank reserves held at commercial banks. During economic crises, the Fed can expand its balance sheet by buying more assets such as bonds called quantitative easing. Let's take a look at the Fed's balance sheet today. Just hit yet another all-time high of $8.449 trillion. $8.449 trillion. I'm old enough to remember 2008. I remember it well because I lost a shit ton of money like everybody else. But I'm old enough to remember when we talked about the Fed balance sheet hitting $1 trillion and thinking that was absolutely insane. $1 trillion was a huge number. You could not even imagine that the Fed could possibly have a balance sheet of $1 trillion. Well, here we are, as you can see, just absolutely pumping from over $3 trillion up to 8.44 in just about a year, right? We had all this flat here, right? Then we obviously pumped in the Great Recession. But that's nothing compared to what we're doing in terms of real dollars now. It's disgusting. And this is the reason that we need Bitcoin. There's a thousand other reasons, right? I talked about it yesterday. We're seeing 12 times the usage of cryptocurrencies in Africa. There's real people on the ground who need Bitcoin as a store of value. And because they need it for peer-to-peer cash to make transaction, international remittances, there's a million reasons to use Bitcoin. But if you're an investor who has a significant amount of money, or you're an average person in the United States who's running on the treadmill and goods are getting more expensive and your salary is not going up, this money printing, this Fed balance sheet is the reason that you absolutely need Bitcoin and the reason that Bitcoin will only go up. We have a deflationary asset while the Fed continues to print money to buy everything in sight. To give you an idea, here's a chart of the U.S. Federal Reserve total assets. This is the increase in billions and the percentage change, right? 2020 saw a 76.7% change, and we've already had a 14.7% change in this year. We've got plenty of year left. That's $3.197 billion in 2020 and over it's trillion, $3.197 trillion and $1.06 trillion this year. If you wonder why we need Bitcoin and why the number will inevitably go up, it's because this is an out of control train that cannot be stopped. The Fed will never stop printing money. They can't, or they will go into a depression. There's a lot of reasons for this, right? There's no politician who's going to step up and say, you know what we need? We need austerity. We need to stop printing money. We need to force a depression and a reset so that everybody can get back to zero, because everyone will lose their job, will have a depression the likes the world has never seen. And no politician is going to trigger that, even if it was what is necessary. And nobody wants that. So what do we want? We want Bitcoin. Here's another reason that Bitcoin is going to continue to go up. Fidelity Digital Assets finds 90% of surveyed investors find digital assets appealing. Fidelity went ahead. They did a survey of 1,100 investors around the globe, 408 Americans, 299 Asians, 393 in Europe. 90% said that they found digital assets appealing, particularly for their high upside potential. 80% felt digital assets could belong in a portfolio. Now, interestingly, 54% said the price volatility created was the issue, and 44% noted a lack of fundamentals to gauge their proper value. But I found this really astounding. 52% of surveyed investors said they have invested in digital assets already. So we have a gap of 50% to 90%. 90% of these people think it belongs somewhere in your platform, that it's interesting in your portfolio, and that's interesting. What do you think is going to happen when all of these people finally start to buy an asset that has a finite supply, and that supply is decreasing with time? The number is going to go up, guys. This is not rocket science. Let's take a bit of a look at Bitcoin TA here. Bitcoin continues to chop around 48K as Ether's exchange outflow spike. Yes, Bitcoin is trading somewhat sideways, seeing a bit of weakness. But what's really notable here, obviously, is that Ethereum saw its largest day of outflows in history. I got to go ahead and find that news right here. According to data analytics firm Into the Block, centralized exchanges registered an outflow of more than 360,000 ETH, worth $1.2 billion yesterday. In one day, we've already been seeing that number going up remarkably, and that was the largest single day net outflow in dollar terms on record. I talked about this yesterday. About 28 billion of what's been removed has been staked. About $1 billion has been burnt with the IP 1559. And then on top of that, we're seeing everybody move their money off of the exchange, meaning if you want to buy it, there's decreasing supply, demand up, supply down. That is how this works. I'm curious what you guys think. Actually, I asked this yesterday, but I didn't ask about Bitcoin. I asked you Ethereum. What are your targets for Bitcoin? What are your targets for Bitcoin by the end of the year? What do you think is going to happen with Bitcoin? Do you think that we're going to see this explosive Q4 that people are talking about? Do you think we're going to see sideways chop, price down? Where do you guys think that Bitcoin's going to land? I'm going to be looking over here at your comments really quick if you guys have answers as to what you think Bitcoin price will be end of this year. So I'm going to keep going on with the charts here now. First, we have Bitcoin, 47,327. We had this major move up through the golden cross that we've discussed ad nauseum. Thing is, it wasn't on great volume. You got to realize volume's actually pretty low right now. So nobody would be surprised to see a retest of that level. So around 46,000, 45,000, somewhere in that zone. But still, this is generally looking very bullish. Nice candle spread and moving up. I talked about this yesterday on the daily. These are all the times that the bands have tightened right here. We had a tightening again. We have a bit of an expansion, and we're seeing price struggling right at the middle of the two Bollinger Bands, right? This blue line is considered a support and resistance. We talked about when it lost this level, obviously it hit both bands, something that doesn't happen too often. Now it's struggling here at resistance. We want to see it flip that and head up to the top. And then as the bands expand, we want to see price go up. Now, of course, the 4-hour chart, I've redrawn this a bit. I still have my trade on, obviously. And just give it a couple new key levels, right? We had this swing low over here at 48,351.6, and price struggled mightily at that level. It did close slightly above and open slightly above, but this basically looks like rejection. This one touched it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times at that 48,351. So if you're wanting to be bullish at this point, maybe you can start considering that you want to get up here and not enter until we get above. If it does drop, I think this 46,491 area is interesting, but we do have a bit of a bull flag forming here. Now, this is the top. Usually I like a bull flag to pull back all the way, from this top candle. You usually want this candle to be the top and then the flag comes off of it like that. But it's still relevant. Down, up, down, up. We do have alternating touches, 2 on each side. But recognize that this could come down here, touch the bottom of the channel before breaking up. But for now, I do not see anything bearish in the TA except for the bearish divergence that I discussed yesterday in the 4-hour. It almost hit overbought, had bearish divergence, but now we do have a bit of hidden bullish divergence. We'll discuss that later on my show at 1:30 p.m. EDT bullish on Bitcoin. I'll go deeper into Bitcoin. Let's take a look at the Ethereum chart since we know that all the supply is leaving. On the Bitcoin pair, I think we have a symmetrical triangle here, basically a perfect symmetrical triangle. So the next move will really be determined by a break up or down. Usually for a good symmetrical triangle, you want to see price break out 60 to 70% of the way, not really at the apex. That's when you see price kind of leak out. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next 1 or 2 daily candles if we can get a clear break. Ethereum on the USD pair, yeah, we had that breakout of this resistance. Now coming back down for a retest. Still, this all kind of looks sort of like chop after the move down, which tested the old trading range. I'm not particularly interested in anything today. I even wrote about this in the newsletter yesterday. I said, you keep doing it till it stops working, but Bitcoin dominance is bouncing a bit. Bitcoin's a little shaky. If it rips in either direction, I think that alts could suffer. So right now it seems like a good moment to sit on your hands. Speaking of altcoins, in the next piece of news that we have here, Katy Perry, Chainsmokers, Pusha T, plow $5 million into music streaming platform Audius. The leading blockchain-based music platform is getting attention from the stars. So as you can see here, we have a California girl, a guy who's grinding, cryptocurrency Scarface, 2 moderately talented frat boys, a guy who throws cake, and of course, Jason Derulo, all putting their money into Audius, which could legitimately be a Spotify contender. I was not taking this project seriously until Audius recently announced a partnership with TikTok that will let artists directly upload music to TikTok SoundKit developer tool. Absolutely huge and interesting to see all of these artists plowing in. Anyone who's been in the music industry for any amount of time knows that it's fundamentally broken. The way that artists are paid out on their royalties is based on a system that's been around since probably the 1950s. Tracking those royalties is almost impossible. Well, using smart contracts every time a song is played, the smart contract can just send the royalties immediately out to someone's wallet. You don't have to wait 6 months for it to be tracked by SoundScam, which is probably wrong. There's so many reasons that we need this. I actually have stories about basically every one of these artists. Well, Katy Perry, I've never met. Pusha T, I've met once at a party I was doing. Nas is obviously the greatest all time. The Chainsmokers, believe it or not, you're not going to believe it, but they used to open for me in New York City at a place called Hudson Terrace, another place called Ella. I used to do parties where they were just kind of these young up-and-coming DJs and would play before me. Absolutely unbelievable. Steve Aoki, I've opened for and played with probably 3 or 4 times. I used to play with him when his DJ name was Kid Millionaire, and he was a top 40 open format DJ. And Jason Derulo, I played with at High Point University in North Carolina as his opener. A lot. Some fun facts there. Here's the audio chart. I bought this on the news and breakout right around 260 yesterday. I tweeted it. Got up to almost 320, but now I think it's suffering, obviously, from a little blow off from the news. People tend to sell the news sometimes after a little while, take their profit, and also because of Bitcoin's movement. But this looks like it's breaking out. Absolutely. Maybe it comes down and retests. I would probably add to my position if we saw that, and should be targeting the 499, which I think this was probably around. Maybe this was the TikTok news. One of these was the TikTok news, but it should be targeting those highs, and then hopefully we'll enter into price discovery. Ethereum rival Avalanche hits all-time high following $230 million token sale. Avax is rising quickly in token sale, led by Polychain and 3 Arrows, has apparently yielded a new peak. $230 million they've raised to improve their business, to invest in their own business. I think this is absolutely huge. You guys know I'm a huge fan of them. I've had John, the president, on my podcast twice, and Emin Gunsur I just had about 2 weeks ago on the podcast. I love what they're doing, because, of course, it's another layer 1 solution. It's a competitor to Ethereum, all those things. But they have a unique use case, which is really enterprise. They allow people to create their own blockchains within Avax, companies, individuals, for almost any purpose, but benefit from the decentralization of Avax itself. really, really a cool project. I think that it's going to definitely find a niche, and it's one that I am personally invested in. Let's take a look at the charts. Avax Bitcoin, all-time high retest. Now, look, I love these retests. As you know, we've been talking about them forever. But as I said, right now, I'm proceeding with a bit of caution, even after I was somewhat bullish sharing these setups in the newsletter yesterday. The reason being, we have massive bearish divergences with way overbought conditions on a lot of these charts, right? So this push up was much weaker than the ones before. Listen, I think still technically there's people who never look at RSI. You see this as a retest. It should go well, but I just wouldn't be surprised to see this go sideways or cool off a bit. Maybe it'll continue to pump. I'm not exiting anything. I'm not doing anything with my position. Here it is on the USD pair. And gosh, you see it here too. But now we're starting to get some non-divergent action. So maybe that's somewhat played out, right? And came down. But this is a perfect retest. Perfect to the penny. We've seen this on so many coins. Perfect breakout retest of resistance as support, the previous all-time high, and then movement up. So it's hard not to like this here. Even if you're someone who looks at the bearish divergence, at least we've seen a major RSI reset. But this is what Solana did. This is what Luna did. I've showed you guys those all before. Dogecoin knockoff Shib hits Coinbase. Price spikes 11% in an hour. The addition of Shiba Inu to Coinbase comes a week after it became available on Coinbase Pro. I mean, you read these articles and it's just a head scratcher. I mean, this is how they describe Shib. Shib fought off Akita Inu and others for alpha status before proceeding to lie around the house with little to do. What? I mean, Coinbase apparently is now playing Pokemon, right? And I've talked about this before. We have memes. Doge is a meme, which we all love. I've always loved Doge, but should not have gone to 70-something cents at that time. Elon Musk pumped that meme. So then we had all these meme coins, Shiba and now Flocky and who knows, a million, Wacky, Waka, Flocky, Flame. All memes within the memes. It's memeception. You don't even know which meme you're in. But there used to be a time when exchanges vetted coins heavily. I mean, you remember how long it took XRP to get listed on Coinbase? No matter how many times they submitted it, it was a real project, institutional involvement. It took forever for Coinbase to list it. Well, now we see, first of all, like Binance, FTX, they're listing these products before they're even popular with heavy leverage. That's one thing. But even Coinbase now going into the meme coins, they know that this has no use case. I mean, Shiba Inu, when it was created, they sent 50% of the supply to Vitalik Buterin's public wallet, assuming that was a way to burn the coins, that he would never sell them. And he dumped a bunch of them and donated the money to India, crashing the coin. That's the kind of projects now that Coinbase is listing. Clearly, the vetting process is over. There's a big money grab. Everybody just wants the volume and the competition to make more and more each quarter, and it's dangerous. But let's take a look at what happened with Shib. Well, of course, we had that major pump right into resistance, right? So I wouldn't touch, I mean, I'm not trading this at all, to be clear, but I wouldn't touch this if I were you until you're clear above this, and then maybe you start talking about it. But basically, this is just a whole ton of sideways action after an epic FOMO run and dump. Right. Maybe this comes out. This would be a pretty good signal that it could be coming out of that. But right now, I think we saw the pump and we have a potential shooting star. I would wait to see how the daily closes, but I'm not trading Shiba. I'm not interested in it. If you are, have at it, bruh. Why Revolut is paying for WeWork membership in Bitcoin. So there's a few interesting things here. First of all, Revolut is worth $33 billion. They're a neobank. They're touched on crypto services. Everybody knows about Revolut at this point. But there's two interesting sides to this. First, if you value Bitcoin, you might be inclined not to ever sell it or spend it, right? So why are they doing this? Well, here's the quote as to why. We're a strong believer in crypto having real-life use cases in the future of payments. The advantage of paying in crypto is the ability to make nearly instant payments without middlemen who charge large international remittance fees. Also, the other notable side is that WeWork accepts Bitcoin payments, which we found out a few months ago. But this is really interesting, right? And this is why when you see Bitcoin in El Salvador and Bitcoin in other countries where people are sending money home, remittances are a huge problem and a huge use case for crypto for anyone who doesn't know that. They would have paid a huge fee to make this payment because WeWork is in the United States. This space that they're setting up, 300 employees will fit there in Dallas, Texas. So they decided, because A, they want to show that Bitcoin is usable for payments and they're willing to take the hit if it continues up. But B, this will save them a ton of money on fees because there's no predatory third party just absolutely stabbing you in the heart when you try to send money internationally. So Revolut definitely putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak. Huge transaction. We don't know how much it is, but you got to imagine it's quite a bit. Celo picks up key hires from A16Z, Facebook's Novi, and Google. Now, listen, we don't usually talk about hiring announcements when we're discussing the news, but the fact here is these are huge, huge salaries. Heavy hitters in the industry are going to this project. So you have to believe that means that they're willing to spend a whole lot of money to be a true competitor in the blockchain space. So now, personally, this puts my eyes on this coin and on this project. They're going to pay out huge salaries, and these people are leaving massive jobs, right? Andreessen Horowitz, Facebook, and Google. These people are coming over to this project to work on it. Let's take a look very quickly at the chart. Nothing doing, honestly. So this had this huge pump. This was 2 bearish SFPs in a row over $7.25. That bearish SFP, what does that mean? Swing failure pattern. That means that you had a high, right? That was the all-time high. So this could have been one of those price discovery coins. Also an example of why it's not in price discovery for a trader until it closes above. So you would have waited and you wouldn't got wrecked if you bought it on the breakout. But this basically means that somebody probably pumped the price up because they actually wanted to sell. I know that's confusing, but that's how you find liquidity. Why? Above this level would be a lot of people trying to go long, right? Break into all-time high. Instead of catching the retest, they FOMO in on the breakout. They go long. That's a buy order. That's a lot of liquidity for someone who wants to sell. And if people were short, this is where they stop out. What is a stop loss on a sell, on a short? It's a buy order. That's why price pushes into these areas and you see a major move in the other direction. Works on the bottom as well. And finally, right here, statue honoring mysterious Bitcoin founder unveiled in Hungary. This is so cool. So cool. First of all, I didn't realize that Satoshi was the Silver Surfer or the Blonde Surfer or some other sort of Avenger type cartoon character. But this is really cool, honestly. He's wearing a hoodie. He's got a Bitcoin logo and he's made out of shiny metal. The idea being that if you look into Satoshi's face, you see yourself. And there's a little bit of all of us in Satoshi. Very, 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 very cool. So guys, that is all the news and charts that I have today. Yeah, Jason says he's the gold surfer. I think technically he is the bronze surfer in this case. So got a lot going on. I got a lot going on today. Yesterday, I had the podcast with CMS Dan, and today I have CMS intern, who everybody loves, coming on to bullish on Bitcoin at 1:30 p.m. EDT. I'm trying to scroll back to see your price predictions, but I can't get back that far. Oh, here we go. 140K, 200K. That's aggressive by the end of the year. I like it. 85K, 83 to 87K. And Todd Jolly, $75. Was there supposed to be a K behind that, or do you think that Bitcoin's going to $75? I don't think we're going to $75. 8K-ish on ETH. Wow, that's as far as I can scroll back. I didn't know that I can't scroll back all the way. Yeah, didn't know that. Did not know that. Hey, Scott, looking forward for H-Bar Hedera. Shared it yesterday. Surfing those bit waves. The bronze surfer. That's the guy, right? So guys, that is all that I have for today. I hope you have a great one. Please show up again. I'm going to go way deeper into Bitcoin. We're kind of improving the format of all these shows. I'll have him, CMS intern, on for a little bit after sharing my own thoughts. Until tomorrow. Tomorrow? I kid. For some of you, it'll be tomorrow. Until later. Peace.